were supposed to come up and just pick up the white base 1LT Corvette. My mom's driving it. She's in front of us. I guess it's going to be a Christmas present the way it sounds. She wants to keep it white, red interior, just a base model, but she loves Corvettes. Never really had a chance to keep one for a while, so we'll see what happens if she really winds up keeping it or just is saying that now and winds up selling it. We'll see. But anyway, the ZR1 was supposed to be trailered home. We got Jeremy, he's the one filming right now, and big smile on his face, absolutely loving life, and we wanted to surprise him and give him a ride in the ZR1. We get asked all the time, why aren't you driving the cars? Why aren't you driving the cars? Well, 38 miles, we're driving the car home, having a blast. 2019 ZR1, 1ZR ZTK 7-speed, and you've never been in one. What do you think?
No, I love this car. It's an absolute beast when you start it up, and it's just inside after a cold start. It was a loud car. Now we're driving home, and there's snow on the ground, which is the thing. Not on the roads, no salt, nothing. But this car is absolutely a monster, and it is by far a quick car, and we're not even really getting on it.
Ed was a little disappointed to see it go, but he's on the search for something new. He's I know, looking for a Bentley, so he's actually switching gears entirely and looking for something completely different. He's been a Corvette guy most of his life, and you know, just ready for something else. And the white base model was his wife's car, and you know, like, we asked him why we were there. Why don't you drive them? What are they here for? And I understand both sides of it. I think you do as well, why some people will drive them, why some people admire them. We get to do a little bit of both. We admire the hell out of the cars, but we're going to drive them a little bit when we can, and that's why we said, you know what, probably the last good day weather-wise we get before they start throwing salt on the roads, and we're going to drive it home.
And of course, the camera had to die when we were shooting that elk. So we're on the way home filming with a camera, so we apologize if we have the iPhone out.
We had a lot of content to kind of get today. We wanted to show Ed's shop and show what he did and kind of how he started. And his story is really cool. I mean, the guy started when he was in Florida, knew he wanted to be a guy that had his own shop since he was 7 years old and always worked on cars. And I love it when he starts, you know, showing you some of the work he does. And you know, you probably have to truly be there. You know, we're gonna try to do our best to really appreciate, you know, some of the work the guy's done of, you know, making these Corvettes into convertibles in the 80s like he did, and putting a hot tub in a Hummer. I mean, you'd never see anything like that done, and the way he does it to perfection, you know, as if that's how it was supposed to be done, is absolutely amazing. And like he said, you know, he's a one-man shop, very similar to us. I mean, we're not big by any means, and you really respect a guy who started a business like that and brought it from its roots to where it is now. And we've been trying to buy these cars now for a couple months and put a deal together, and we told him, you know, when you're ready to sell them, give us a holler, and we try to work it out, and we finally agreed on a deal for both because he's ready for something else. You know, some of the work he's doing with those cars he's importing from Japan, I mean, those things he showed me last year are awesome, and I love the camouflage work that he does on those cars. It's spectacular. So it was great to kind of come up here and meet with that and kind of get him on film and on camera and go over all the things that he does, because you just never know. And here's a guy who's somewhat local to us, and he's in magazines with Chip Foose and Boyd Coddington, and I mean, anybody who follows cars knows Boyd Coddington and Chip Foose's name carry a ton of weight, and so does Ed Sandy's in the Corvette world. And you know, funny to be taking two Corvettes home from his shop. You know, he had two license plates, and the one for his car here was Dr. Vet, or Vet Doctor. So he's heavily invested into Corvettes, loves Corvettes all his life, and he said, he goes, I don't know if they'll make a better Corvette than the 2019 ZR1, because GM's really going to have to raise the bar. Which I agree with that.
Yeah, which we are seeing, it actually is living up to the truth. They're not really making any better car right now. They have that they have that mid-engine 2020, which people are fans, but last year the front engine and last year the manual. Will they ever go back? We don't know.
And a lot of people will say, and they'll see the ZR1s, and they're telling you, oh, I can get a C8 for that much. And you know, I'm not here to tell anybody how to spend their money or what to monster Corvette. To me, I love the body lines. I think the C7 they nailed. Even the Z06s, which is what Ed had. Ed had a Z06 C7 that he traded in to get this car, and he said, you know, that's the car to have. I don't know how many people are really going to have a chance to say that they ever owned a 2019 ZR1 with the 7-speed. Again, because now everything's moving to automatic. So, you know, he appreciated it. You know, you could say, I guess, from afar, since he didn't drive it a whole lot, but it was in his shop. So you just don't know. You know, some guys like to drive their stuff. Some guys like to admire them. I guess as you get older, you know, that may change a little bit. Like Eddie, he had so many Corvettes before where now he, you know, just admired it. And the all black, I'm usually not a guy who loves everything blacked out, but on this car, it's unbelievable how it looks. It's so sinister.
And we've talked about it with the other ZR1 that Kyle has. The body lines on these cars are absolutely incredible, but the black, it really gets picked up with the carbon fiber accents. And overall, I like this better than the Matrix ceramic gray. I like the black.
I'm still keeping my Matrix, but I'll tell you what, if I had to pick another spec of colors and everything, the all black does look good. And that's not to take away from anybody else's cars who have any other colors, because I mean, every one of the ZR1,
they're special.
Yeah, they're nice. So you can't go wrong.
And they didn't make many of them. The breakdown is pretty slim to none. So
yeah,
everything's special.
Out of all the ones they built, only 30% were actually made in a stick. So right there, being the last year,
one now.
7-speed. So right there, you're talking something that's going to be rare, special down the road. Not going to be rare; it already is rare. And you don't see many on the market anymore, like you did, you know, a few months back. Because all the collectors are starting to catch on that I need to get a C7 ZR1 in a stick. So when you do see them, they usually don't last long. And you know, even the guys that we do business with, our guys are always looking for the C7 ZR1 in a stick. Not to say that they won't buy the automatics, but they have calls that, you know, they have clients of their own who are calling them saying, this is what I want. So they're always seeing, you know, what do we have available, what do we have in line. And it's funny because we've kind of I guess worked our way into the ZR1 being like the car that we know best. And it's funny because we probably sold, I would say, close to 10 of them in the last few months, even to some of our buddies who are dealers. And I really appreciate it. And you know, they'll call and say, what do you think this one is worth? And it's always on the ZR1. And these guys are the ones that are running big time dealerships, and they're asking for your opinion, which is kind of cool, because we're not running, again, a place like that, but they value your knowledge and understanding of the market on those particular cars. And it's not something that I really paid a whole lot of attention to out of the gate, but as I started to see them and I grew, you know, an appreciation for them and kind of followed the market a little bit more, they really value your opinion, which is neat, because, you know, I'll call them on stuff and say, you know, what do you think of this? And you know, they'll do the same thing, pick up the phone and say, I got this car in line, what do you think? So it's always good to network, and I give a lot of credit to Jeremy on that, because he's the one who started the BST page. And he called me one day and was like, listen, I'm starting this page on Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, do whatever you got to do. And he's like, it's BST. And I'm like, okay, what does that even stand for? And he's like, buy, sell, trade cars. I'm like, all right, what better way to start a page than that? And we wanted to have something that was going to include all types of cars, whether they were domestic, whether they were muscle cars, foreign cars, and we'll do a whole video on that as well. But I mean, a lot of these people we would have never met if it wasn't for the BST page.
Nope. And that's a good thing to have, and a lot of guys appreciate it, because that's the place you go and you just put your car on there. And actually, a lot of deals are made through there, and it's
a
good way to, yeah, and it's
a lot of car people.
And everybody networks off everybody, which is good. But like Kyle said, we'll get to that one day, and we'll sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't know BST, it's one of our Facebook groups, our only Facebook group that we run, which we started it out where we only wanted people who were buying and selling cars, but we branched it off and we said, listen, as long as you are someone who can be respectful in the group, you know, we'll welcome you with open arms. As long as you're not ridiculing someone's car or what the price is, or cars that have come across the group if it wasn't for the group. I mean, some of the builds in there are absolutely insane, and it's cool just to see, like, wow, look at this car that's in our group.
Yeah, and like Kyle said, we take pride in letting people come in with open arms, but that are respectful, so they're not butchering people's prices, which we take extremely
And I don't want to talk bad about any other Facebook groups, but I'm a part of a ton of them, and you know, if you guys are into them as well, you'll see some of the stuff that goes on in there, and it's like, you know what, we just value other people's time too much because we know how valuable our time is, and you know, all the things that we have going on, that we can't be bothered with all that stuff of, you know, things that the nonsense that goes on in those groups. So it really is a testament to Jeremy, because he does a lot of that with the group and running it as good as any group out there. So as you may have heard me say, that this particular ZR1 is a 1ZR. The only other option was a 3ZR. Same in the C6 models as well. So 1ZR doesn't have heated seats. It does not have the memory package. It's got 9 speakers compared to 10 in the 3ZR package. A lot less carbon fiber in the interior. Some of that Alcantara and suede that you'll see. You still could get the comp seats in a 1ZR. This particular car does not have the comp seats, but they were an option on a 1ZR if you wanted to order them. Now the ceramic matrix gray car that we have is 3ZR with comp seats. But I'll tell you what, I mean, if you love these cars and you really want to stick when you're behind the wheel, that's another actually difference, is on the 3ZR carbon fiber wheel with some suede and the Alcantara here, it's a full leather. But I'll tell you what, when you're behind the wheel here, you don't even know that there's any difference between the two cars, whether it's a 1 or 3ZR that much at all. It's just a blast to drive. I mean, you're behind the wheel of one of the best sports cars that have ever been made. And you know, you look at some of the articles that have been written, and these cars are outperforming the cars that are 3-4 times the sticker price. And it's insane. And it's a car that just keeps going up in value. Every time you go and check on them, the cars are taking a jump. Where they are now compared to where they were a year ago, 6 months ago, I don't know if I would want my money. And I think a lot of people are on board with this now, because you're starting to see and hear more of it in any other car besides a 2019 ZR1. And even the guys we know, the more we talk to them and the more we have conversations, the more we're watching the market. These cars remind me a lot of the Ford GTs in 05 and 06, of how those cars just kept climbing and climbing and climbing, and now you see the prices they're doing. Now, are these cars going to get to that price? I'm not going to say that they are or they aren't, but they definitely have potential to go there, and they're trending in that direction. I don't know if there's another car out there right now that has the trends in the market that this car does. And again, you're talking about a car with 750 horsepower just alone. I mean, think of how much of a great car the C7 Z06 is, and this motor has 52% more displacement. You're going 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. I think it was 2.85. I mean, the numbers are absolutely crazy when you start to look at it and really break down what this car can do. And again, we had the conversation the other day. I don't know many people, including NASCAR race drivers, who are going to be able to reach this car's full potential.
It's an absolute spaceship-wise interior. I mean,
and again, this is the 1ZR.
Yeah,
it's still
fully loaded.
Yeah,
everything.
You have no idea that you're behind the wheel of.
The video doesn't do justice, but that hood scoop
it's high.
It's up there.
That's the big supercharger, and it's all carbon fiber. The hole in the hood to help fit that. And in just personal opinion and preference, I think that the C7 is very comparable to the C3s. I mean, they're highly desirable, highly collectible, to most the best years for the mid-year Corvettes. And with all the engine to a mid-engine, and you did away completely with manual transmissions, I got to think down the road, you know, you have a nice Z06, obviously the ZR1s, that those cars are going to be the ones that people want. You know, even our age, you start thinking of it down the road of, is this something that you would want? And the answer 100% would be yeah. I would want a C7 Z06, or I would want a C7 ZR1. Not to say that the other ones won't be, just like the other Corvettes are desirable in the other years as well. But there's just so much that changed in that time span of when the C7 was introduced and made to its completion to the new C8. You got to think that, you know, down the road, those cars are going to be the ones that, you know, people want. And I'm not saying that everybody buys for investment purposes or anything like that, but when you look back on those years, you're going to say, man, GM really had a nice thing there with the C7 Corvette. They really, you know, hit their stride there with the stick shifts and the body lines, and really it was their golden years in recent memory. We got a ZR1 Virgin over here in the passenger seat.
As a passenger of it, it's absolute beast. I mean, I've driven in a couple high performance cars like the Evo and the Cobra.
Oh, you can't compare. You're
your
gonna
Uncle
get
C06
comparing the Evo to this thing.
And, I mean, that's mostly what I've been in, but this ZR1, you literally can't. I'm speechless about how it performs as a.
And you know, we can't even get on the gas at all. You get on the gas and it's pulling you.
Yeah.
And we have a little bit of traffic behind and in front of us right now. We've been trying to find a straightaway, which we're gonna work on here to where you guys can hopefully see or feel some of the power. And it's really hard to put into words. And I've driven Super Snakes, Z06s. Like I said, not a lot of stuff in the foreign car market, so I can't compare to that. But the only other car that I could really compare this to is the 2013 whole shot car that I had.
Yeah, even actually I was in that GT500 that you guys did sell. I was in that, and even this compared to that car, it's just, this is, in my opinion, the all-American dream car for whoever's a muscle car lover.
You gotta remember, those Super Snakes ran, they had over 900 horse, 950 in some of them, but you had to send those cars back to Shelby for those upgrades. The way this car is right now is the way it hit the showroom floor.
Yeah.
Like, it was factory
straight from
done.
The factory, yeah. It is a race car, and I've read articles that it does keep up with some of the supercars that have these high price tags for the money. I mean, what is this car? 138,000 sticker.
Well, the ZR1's sticker on this particular car was like 130, give or take. On the Matrix Gray car, that was 141, and the only difference really is the 3ZR package. And I keep saying it because you really can't tell much of the difference besides, you know, some carbon fiber here and there, and some of the Alcantara. But when you're behind the wheel and you're driving this thing, I don't know if you're in a 1ZR, 3ZR, 10ZR, the car is just an absolute blast to drive, ton of fun, handles, performs, brakes, everything. I mean, you check off every box on this car.
Yeah, and as a passenger, it kicks you back in your seat when Kyle, you can tell when you're just stepping on the gas a little bit. Like
and
Kyle
you even
said,
made a good comment. The sound of this car, even in fifth gear below 2,000 RPMs, you still hear the exhaust.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the pop on the exhaust, just driving it at under 40 miles an hour, under 50 miles an hour, the exhaust pops and it is loud.